Good morning. I'm Julio Saenz, along with Mauricio Riveros. Today we'll meet Baye Mohammed, CEO of Redco, and hear how he's leading this organization into a new era.
We hope you will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community. We'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Hi, Baye. Thank you so much to Be Inspired, a show that we develop to interview interesting people, develop relationships, connections, businesses, and you are part of this great network of organizations and institutions that are working to help entrepreneurs and business. But let's start to know who is Baye first.
Well, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on your program here today. My name again is Baye Mohammed. I'm the CEO of Rochester Economic Development Corporation. This organization has been around for a long time, about 37 plus years, but it sat within the city of Rochester. So the previous 4 years, from 2015 to 2019, I was a commissioner of neighborhood and business development for the city of Rochester. And just through my travels, the mayor's travels, we decided to make Redco a standalone organization. It was already a 501c3, but now we are separated from the city, working in collaboration with the city, the state, the federal government, the county, anybody who wants to partner, Ibero, Pastor, anybody wants to partner to help our entrepreneurs. So I am I would say a community member of the world. My father was in the military. I'm a dad. I like to think of myself as a good person, a good citizen, and always looking to help people, just in general, whether it's businesses, families. That's what my life really has been dedicated to.
Wow, that's very impressive, Baye. Definitely, you have a lot of background and history here in Rochester. So let's start talking a little bit about you, and then we will talk about the organization that you are representing. So how you were able to get where you are? You know, what's your story? What's the background? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, I want to say it's not scripted. If it was scripted, I didn't follow a script, unfortunately. But let me say this: I was blessed with good parents that weren't perfect, but parents that were persistent, through the struggle, through their interpersonal challenges. My dad always says, no one gets a manual to be a parent or a husband or a wife, but they stuck at it. They've been married for 50 plus years. So I really owe a lot to them and all the men and women in my life. And that's really how I got here. I mean, I went to college, but it was non-traditional, so I went to school. I started at Virginia State University. I played a couple of years of football. Then I didn't finish. And at the time I was married, I got married, had children. And, one day I woke up, I said, man, I got to go back to school. Children are getting older. And I'm not able to get the type of job that I want to take care of my family the way I want to. So that's what I did, went back to school, ended up doing better the second time around than I did the first. I was trying to figure out, like, how are my grades higher now? I have all this responsibility. But so, non-traditional. So what that taught me was, no matter where you are, just keep striving, keep pushing. And as long as we have the breath of life, we have a chance. And that's really how I look at life every day. So not traditional. I mean, now, real quick, how I got here, it's just like non-scripted. I was the commissioner of Syracuse Parks. And I knew the mayor, I think I met her as she was her first tour of council, and never really thought about working specifically full-time in Rochester, but I always loved Rochester. One of the things that always stood out to me was the how engaged the residents are. Love it or hate it, you know, and you have to really love it. It's a pain sometimes, but people here are really engaged. They love their community. So you can't fault a person like that. And I love that because it's actually the citizens that make changes here. It's not actually government top down, it's the citizens that make change here. And so she asked me to be part of her team after, a year of her term, and I accepted. And that's how I got here. But when I worked in the state senate, we had an office in Rochester, so I was really familiar with a lot of the organizations and some of the players here previously. So, but again, non-scripted, took a chance, and I would say it was a great chance because I have personally grown as a person here, and it's not easy working in public service like I have. Always high demands. It doesn't seem like there's enough money to do what you really want to do, but a beautiful, great community we have, and so much more potential.
That's great. It's great to hear that Mauricio and I both lived other places and we love Rochester. So we're glad that we're the same mindset. So talk a little bit about Redco. What does it do for entrepreneurs, for all the potential business owners or business owners that we have watching the show?
Yeah, so traditionally Redco had been seen as working with larger corporations or larger projects. In the past, it was instrumental in developing Upper Falls Plaza, Science Parkway. There's a huge building there, and just some very large projects. When I became commissioner, just I questioned why aren't we working with smaller businesses, and particularly Black and Latino businesses, and we started to do that. And it looked different for some folks, but we started to do that, and now we have we have a charter to really focus on the small micro businesses, particularly those that are in more challenged areas. So we are right at the beginning stages of the new Redco, if you want to say it. We got started officially. Of course, there's always work done years in advance, but officially in February, and COVID hit. So things have been super challenging because, as much as you want to help, you're trying to build an organization, and then at the same time we have a pandemic. So it's been super challenging. But what we provide right now is education. So we've partnered with some organizations that provide education. And I really like to lead there because sometimes it's not money that's needed, even though that's always something that we want, but it's really education on how to run your business effectively. And the best way of doing that to me is learning from your peers, and just that visual learning, the hand-to-hand learning, and not so much in the classroom. The other thing we provide is funding. So we provide low interest loans and a few little grant dollars. Right now, we're administering a program in partnership with the city and Empire State Development called the Revitalize Rochester Fund. And that's specifically for our more challenged corridors. And that money can be used for working capital, redevelopment. We have a pre-development loan fund that we partner with 7 different banks in the area. But again, I mean, what a time to start a new program during the pandemic. But look, this is really going to prove what we're made of individually, the team we have, and what we're made of as a community. Is very difficult time, and I think we really have to band together. No matter what happens externally, we have to really band together as a community, and whatever nickels and dimes we have that we're allowed to spend with our local businesses, we should be looking to do that.
And that become extremely important with COVID-19 and the post-COVID-19, hopefully in some point where, we are talking about recovery and how we can reestablish the economy. And in that environment, how do you see, and of course, COVID hit us, a lot of business unfortunately closed. what is the strategy? What are the thoughts behind of how we can start reactivating? And I know we need to, get the vaccines, and that's a very important phase, and get people back. Health is first. But what is the strategy that you are visualizing, and your organization and other organizations are visualizing, of how we get back the economy to start working and creating jobs?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that for us is actually speaking to the businesses individually and then as groups. We can come up with solutions, but if we're not really talking to the businesses and really the residents, we can't really figure anything out on the needs. And I think, I've worked in government, and traditionally government sometimes takes a stance where, let's start a plan, or we're going to start an initiative, and it's not really what the people want or need. So, we're trying to take a different approach, is listening. And what we're hearing is people want to feel safe. And for the most part, really, most of our businesses want to comply to whatever rules are coming down the pipe. It's just this thing hit and they weren't really set up for it. So, getting gloves, a mask, a hand sanitizer, it wasn't part of the budget, because when you have a small business, you're already dealing with a real small budget, and to add another budget line, you just can't afford to do that. So businesses want to be safe. They want to get back to business. And I think as far as a strategy, we have to, as much as possible, definitely follow all of the rules, but do what we can to support the businesses in a safe manner. So if that means ordering online and there's a delivery for the restaurant, we need to do that. If that means, now since we can't sit down, maybe it's going to carry out. But again, I think I'm going back to looking first at what local business in our area will provide the goods and services that I need. It's very easy to click your phone and order Amazon. I mean, they have made it very easy. We have to help our local businesses get to that sort of sophistication, and it's not going to happen overnight. But through technology, I think through the willingness to do that, we can get there. And actually, we don't have a choice.
Well, thank you so much, Baye. We'll be back with more after these messages.
So I am a business owner and I want to move to the city. What are the incentives? Why I will do it? I love to help people, but what is the incentive for a business owner who needs to have a balance sheet and in the end needs to have a profitability?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to start the benefit. I'm going to start with the people. That's the benefit, the community. Let's not take the news story we see every day and paint a picture of Rochester. It's a lot greater than what you see on the 6 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news. The people here are resilient. They've been through a lot, but the city still is experiencing growth. So I'm going to start with the people. Then after that, I will start with the partnership, the incentives. Redco can provide some low interest loans. The city can provide some grant funding. Also, the permitting process, the zoning process. And the county has programs through Comida. Not only that, the state has programs. And, regardless of what you hear, I think you do have people here. We have a whole new state delegation here representing us in the Assembly and the Senate. But I believe that those folks who've just been sworn in are here dedicated to this city. So you have generally people on the same page looking to do the right thing. But you have not only the elected officials, you have the unelected officials here that are dedicated. I mean, both of you, look what you're doing. You're bringing good news to the community, and you are influential in your own right. But we have strong organizations here from the ABCs, the Urban League, the Iberos, the Papstone. I think there are dedicated people here that want to see change and make things work. And it's up to us, our organization, to help that transition and make it smooth. We want the business owner to make money because the business has to make money so it can sustain and then it eventually can grow here.
Yeah, and I want to just do a follow-up question here, which I think is critical. I am a believer of Rochester. I think this is probably one of the most amazing places. I believe that, the commute of the city and the movement and the traffic and the brain power that exists in the city with the universities, the education is there. I personally believe there is a high level of passion for this city. And my question is, okay, how can we communicate more of that? How can we expand that element of create momentum? In some point, I found a momentum in Rochester. There's a lot of great things that were happening in the city. And so what you guys are doing specifically to start again, and I know it's COVID-19, we'll pass that, but then we need to go aggressively, right?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think one of our challenges here is really telling the good story. It's easy for us to tell the challenge story or the hard story, the dramatic story, but there's some great things happening here. You're part of this. You're doing it, and I know you can push this out, and your reach is far. Redco has to do that, and that's what we will be doing. Through our marketing efforts, is promoting business stories about our local businesses. We have been, even during COVID, we are actively meeting with Visit Rochester. Visit Rochester represents the whole 9-county region, but they're interested in doing more here. Some of these organizations, and I'm not saying this Visit Rochester, but it's actually easy for us to criticize and say, hey, they don't promote the city, they don't do this, or the news doesn't do this. I take the position where it's my responsibility to seek them out, to bring the good story to them. They might not be looking for it, and it might not be sexy at a given time, but I take it upon myself that it's my responsibility to do that. So the more of us that can now speak the positive, and I don't think we need to ignore the negative that's here, but the more we can do that, the better. Real quick story, when my parents visit this region, they usually go to the wineries, they'll go to the museums, and they go back and they become ambassadors. And then people say, well, I want to visit Rochester. That's the type of stuff we need. We don't need, what I've heard when I'm on a plane sometimes. Last year, I haven't been on a plane since COVID. I was in a airport in DC one time, and this lady was just bad mouthing Rochester. And I'm sitting there saying, why would you do that? You're in Washington, D.C. How many people are listening to you? That's something we have to stop. If it's negative, let's wait till we get home and into our home. But let's not do that at international airports or state airports. Let's just speak the positive, and so we can get, create a self-pride here and influence people to come visit our city.
Exactly. And I've always found that the people who badmouth Rochester have never lived anywhere else.
That's true.
And where else do we live? Nowhere. Okay, what are you comparing it to? So
that's true.
We just have a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you,
yes,
what's your vision for Redco in the next 5 years?
Yeah, we are going through several exercises like that. It's a small team we have. It's 7 of us. But for me, everyone is involved in that process. The vision of our organization is just not coming from me as the head. Everybody, our executive assistant, the business development managers, and I'm asking everybody, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years for the organization? And me, I want to be the go-to economic development organization in the city, but I want to see Black, Latino, minority businesses flourish. I want folks from outside of the city, outside of the state, desire to come to our city and go in our neighborhoods and say, look, I'm going to go on Clinton Avenue because I I can get this dish. I'm going to go on Thurston to get this. Or I'm going to go on Portland because I need to get a new fence. I want Rochester to be the go-to place for all your needs, not only socially, educationally, and economically. That's what I envision for the city, and I want Redco to be that organization that will help the city get there.
Baye, I really love it. I personally believe that we need more of this. We need more positive news. I know COVID's hard. I know the weather. Yes. Sometimes people talk about the weather. I love the weather. I think this Rochester is amazing. I personally believe that Rochester has an amazing level of commute and facilities. I think we are ready. We are ready for something new, something dramatically new and wonderful in a city that has history, has flavors, has culture, has so many things, and you play a huge role of that.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll meet Al Burgos, owner of Burgos Income Tax, and hear about how he started his own business 30 years ago.
To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Poder 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Saenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.